From Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium on the Ohio State University campus, it is round 4 of the 2016 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, the 103rd edition, as Columbus Crew Soccer Club and the Tampa Bay Rowdies meet in this round of 32. Neil Sika, Dwight Burgess, here to have some fun. We're so glad you could join us here on ColumbusCrewSC.com. As the black and gold kick the tires after the Copa America Centenario break, they'll be back in league action on Saturday against the Montreal Impact. This is a competition where they have taken some silverware. 2002, the club's first trophy, finished as finalists in 1998 and 2010. Their first ever meeting with the Tampa Bay Rowdies, 1-0 winners over FC Cincinnati back on June 1st. Dwight, good to see you again. And for Columbus, this is a team that has dealt with some of a slow start in the first portion of the season. The Kai Kamara drama, now some injuries settle in, just 16 players available on the roster tonight. What is the direct obligation of the black and gold here tonight as they resume their season?
Well, I think professionalism dictates that they show up here tonight and they play to win and advance in this tournament. But it has been an interesting few months, if you correctly pointed out. There's no question that if you don't want to call it a hangover, the lack of downtime between MLS Cup and the start of this season has had an impact. More recently, as you point out, the injuries, the international call-ups. But Greg Berhalter has said from the day he arrived here, this is a talented team. The bench is deep. The next man up is expected to do his job, and we're going to see some of them tonight.
Lineups coming in just a little bit. The Tampa Bay Rowdies come in fresh off their spring season in the North American Soccer League. 4 wins, 4 ties, 2 losses. They finished in a tie for 4th, but just a couple of points out of first place. Indy 11 took the Spring League title. They play 2 seasons. It's hyphenated. They'll have a break here with just the U.S. Open Cup competition and then resume the fall campaign where they will play 20 games starting at the beginning of July. The Rowdies won the title in 2012. Of course, this is one of the original franchises going back to the NASL days. The original NASL won it in their first year in 1975. Played as a team throughout 1993, the second version of it, but it's a well-known name down not only in Florida, but across the American soccer circles.
You can't talk about the history of professional soccer in this country and not include the Tampa Bay Rowdies, who made the expression, it's a kick in the grass. All it's one word. Very, very popular. In fact, I went to one of their very first summer camps ever offered. My younger brother followed me, and it ended up vaulting him from there to Millwall. So you never know what's going to come around, but to look at this team today, still wearing the same kit, and you talk about history, you talk about the future, and to have a guy like Freddie Adu, who was, there was so much promise about him, too much. He was put in a position, frankly, where he was never going to be able to achieve what people told him he must, and yet he's still plying his trade. It's a fascinating transition.
The Outlaws didn't write the lyrics, a kick in the grass, right?
No, they did green grass and high tides.
Okay, very good. And the Rowdies will come to town. This is the second matchup. Columbus will face an NASL club. They have had success against the second division in American soccer, 6-1-1 through the years, hosting Indy 11 2 years ago. That game went to extra time. They won it at the University of Akron. Last year, the black and gold in this competition, winning at Richmond in the USL, and then taking their show on the road where they lost to another Floridian team, Orlando City, 2-0. Columbus is 2-1 all time against Florida teams in the U.S. Open Cup. Well, the Tampa Bay Rowdies, since coming back and playing as FC Tampa Bay in 2010 and 2011, and once the licensing agreement was worked out, they took the name of the original club, the Tampa Bay Rowdies, won the title in 2012, but in this competition, just a glimmer of success. That was the upset of the Seattle Sounders in 2013. They have yet to get past the round of 16 in the competition, but an opportunity today because they're a group that defends well, and there are 12 players on this roster that have MLS experience.
Not only MLS experience, there's guys with international experience. This is a legitimate club. Yes, they may be down a division for Major League Soccer, but these are players, many of whom have or will play in MLS, and of course, given the history of Tampa Bay Rowdies that we just talked about, who knows what the long-term future of this organization might be. I just think it's pretty nice when you think about the original NASL in the 1970s, and today it's the second division. We got so many different leagues and divisions going on. It's just fantastic for this sport in this country.
Of course, those iconic hoop jerseys of green and gold for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and the black from head to toe for Columbus Crew Soccer Club. The 103rd edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. It's the 19th entry for the black and gold. The teams are out of the tunnel, the national anthem, and we'll present you the starting lineups and have kickoff. On a muggy midweek day in central Ohio, there are thunderstorms threatening the area as Columbus Crew Soccer Club and the Tampa Bay Rowdies in the round of 32, the fourth round of the 2016 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, and a look at the starting 11s. First for the visiting Tampa Bay Rowdies, they're coached by Stuart Campbell, who took over as the interim after Thomas Rongen was fired at the end of last August. It was a tough fall season for the Rowdies after a solid spring campaign, and finished just a couple of points out of first place in this spring season here in 2016. They bring a 4-3-3 to the table. Matt Pickens, one of 5 in the starting 11 with MLS experience. He was a 5-year keeper in Colorado, won the Cup with the Rapids in 2010. He's had an excellent spring campaign so far. The right back is Darnell King. Frankie Sanfilippo, who didn't see any action over the course of the spring season, was in the 18 a bunch of times and played quite a hefty load for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers last year. Will step into central defense for the captain, Tam Makandawiri, who is battling an illness and missing out on his first action since October of 2014. Strong and tough Neil Collins, the Scotsman, pairs with Sanfilippo. And it's Ben Sweat, who once upon a time a draft pick of the black and gold in 2014. Sweat was the 14th overall pick in the draft out of South Florida. 3 in the midfield, Juan Guerra. Joe Cole, that is a headline name, and he has been excellent since coming on in the beginning of May for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Junior Burgos played with Toronto FC. He is on loan from Atlanta United, one of their 2 signings. Eric Avila. Tommy Heineman returns to Columbus. He played 2 seasons here, injury plugged in 2012, scored 3 goals in 2011. And Georgi Ristov, who was the MVP of NASL in 2013, is on that left side of the 4-3-3. So it's Pickens, King, Sanfilippo, Collins, Sweat, Guerra, Cole, Burgos, Avila, Heineman, Ristov. For the black and gold, coached by Greg Berhalter, as they enter this competition with ideas of advancing on to the round of 16. In fact, they've done that 4 of the last 5 years, a 4-2-3-1 for Columbus Crew SC. Brad Stuver gets the work in between the frame. He played here as a collegian for Cleveland State, actually against former Columbus keeper Matt Lampson in goal. That was his freshman year. He did see action. That was against Veracruz back on May 11th. He's been the backup keeper for every game behind Steve Clark this year. Back 4 is the same as it was in Philadelphia off that 3-2 loss. Hector Jimenez, the right back, Chad Barson, Michael Parkhurst, the captain, Waylon Francis, the left back, Rodrigo Saravia back from international duty. He's got 4 caps now with Guatemala. Tony Chani, who has had the trials and tribulations of a calf injury over the last 2 months, is back in there. Christian Martinez, the youngest player to score in Columbus history, is on the right side of midfield. Emil Larson will be in the attacking portion of the front 3. And on the left side, Marshall Hollingsworth, the rookie out of Wheaton College, and Justin Merrim plays as forward. We're underway, and as you can see, Columbus going right to left on your stream. It is Collins who had the assist on the Ristoff goal in the win against FC Cincinnati. Many were anticipating possibly in the Buckeye State, especially down south, if Cincinnati could pull the upset. A big contingent here, and the Rowdies have brought some Loudies up from Tampa Bay on this overcast evening here in Columbus. Here's Collins. And it's Ben Sweat, who did not play in league competition for Columbus in 2014. What are you looking for early, Dwight?
I'm looking at the matchup. They play a 4-3-3, as you talked about, does Tampa Bay. I want to see how their 3 attacking players occupy 3 of the 4 defenders for Columbus Crew SC, particularly when the home side begins to move forward because they like to get their wide backs into the attack. Will Tampa Bay be able to gain possession in transition and counter into the flanks, or will Columbus Crew SC be successful in forcing Tampa Bay to drop back into their own defensive third?
Sweat started 5 of the 10 games in league play. It's just a 10-game spring season, 20 in the fall, and 30 total. Off the back pass, it's Hollingsworth. He is a speed demon. They've moved him to fullback where he's seen most of his playing time down with Pittsburgh. And coming off mono, getting the go tonight, Justin Merrim. He's been wide for the entirety of his Columbus career, but played up top at Michigan and did so on this field as a collegian.
Well, Greg Berhalter's system has specific responsibilities depending on where you are on the field. A guy like Justin Merrim is a player who can be plugged into any number of positions as part of the way that Greg has built the team. I think he'll be quite comfortable in that role.
King, a good cross, and on the run-up, Heineman. And then Ristoff, the last piece of action, who was the MVP of the league in 2013. Tampa Bay winning the title in 2012 as they connect the club's history, and that was their second. They have not made the playoffs since then, but a good ball in from King, who has the speed and pace coming down the right. Here's Cole on the corner. Goal and 3 assists in just 5 games. Helped lead a big win on the road at Minnesota at the end of May. Ristoff looking for Heineman inside the area. Heineman excellent in Ottawa the last couple of years. After Columbus, he went to Vancouver. One of the nicest guys you'll find. And said we had a little Canuck up there. He's become a dad for the first time, the native of St. Louis. There's a good pass between the lines, Larson. And it's Jimenez looking for Martinez in that right channel.
Yeah, a little disappointed in Larson's decision. Jimenez had come in on the diagonal run from the right flank and was even with the back line, which was flat. And I think a direct ball to the angled run would have put Jimenez in behind the Rowdy defense, but he elected to go wide, and it results in the restart from the quarter arc.
Of course, this is the home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and so often Columbus played here for the Connor Sen Memorial Match for 11 years, as a matter of fact. Changes in the CBA prevented extra games being played by the roster as Columbus off the corner. Got a second attempt at it, and the cross sailing high from Jimenez. Matt Pickens, wealth of MLS experience. Actually, allocation money used to acquire him to Tampa Bay after he was waived prior just to the start of the 2014 season with Colorado. New England picked him up and then sent him on his way to the Gulf side of Florida. 5 minutes in.
I think Tampa has come out. They've looked pretty comfortable here in the early going, trying to put their offense together the way it's been created. Offside flag is up on this occasion, but this is a team that I think I sense there's some confidence in the early going.
Greg Dopka out of the Chicago area is our head referee. These U.S. soccer officials, not pro, as MLS teams are used to. Saravia. He's in the 6 role. Chani, good to see him back out on the field. He's a big part of Greg Berhalter's plans.
Not only is he a talented player, but he also brings flexibility to that position. Mohamed Saeed, Will Trapp, the 3 of them rotate very well, but some of the most successful games the team has had under Greg Berhalter have come with Tony Chani paired alongside of Will Trapp, though Trapp is not part of the equation tonight.
And Chani, Cameroonian international, setting it over the top. Aaron would have had the flag tagged on him, but Pickens scoops and starts again. Neil Collins, a wealth of experience in the championship. 16-year pro. San Filippo. Back in 2003 was a draft pick of the San Jose Earthquakes. Into that right side for King. Waylon Francis. This back 4 going to get another run at it after a disjointed performance in Philadelphia to close out the first part of the MLS regular season. A 3-2 defeat. Larson. It's very important for Emil Larson to maybe start emerging. There were some murmurs overseas on the internet about him wanting to possibly return home for more playing time, but Berhalter says he likes that type of competitiveness from a player. Guys who want to play. He had a hat trick against Nigeria for the U23s. Could be an overage player for Denmark.
Well, if it was on the internet, Neil, then you know it's true.
It's true. Type it in on Wikipedia, you're good to go.
On paper, Tampa Bay comes in a 4-3-3 alignment, and offensively you can see that because they have 3 players pushing up high. But defensively, there has not been a lot of pressure on the Columbus Crew SC back line, and really the numbers for the most part for the visitors have dropped into their own half.
Off the long switch, looking for King, who is Tampa native. Stuver rolling it on up. Chani will start with the base of the attack, beginning deep as we enter minute 8. Of course, in this knockout competition, if you've followed along through the years, you know anything after regulation, extra time, and penalties to decide it if need be. Merrim is dropped deep, facing Guerra, pushing wide right. And Jimenez going to earn Columbus's second corner kick 8 minutes in.
Mentioned the way that Tampa Bay was dropping back predominantly in their own half of the park in transition. I think that's a good call. But we've seen a couple of times now where their wide backs have pinched in about the width of the penalty area. You leave the channels open in this Greg Berhalter system, you're going to pay a price for that in the end.
87 degrees at kickoff, as that is on the outswinger.
Mother Nature is going to have an impact on this evening. It already has. You mentioned the temperature. Humidity is stifling. There are storms on the way. Of course, folks from Tampa know all about afternoon thunderstorms, but keep in mind it's not even really summer yet.
Rowdies play in St. Petersburg at the historic Al Lang Stadium, used for various MLB teams' spring training homes through the years. Not anymore. It's been fully converted to soccer for this second installment.
It's a beautiful setup they have.
Avila, journeyman around MLS on the wing. Dallas, Orlando City, his most recent team. Chivas USA went to Santos Laguna in Mexico. Brad Stuver, 1-1 in the Open Cup last year as the Columbus starting keeper. Here's Parkhurst. Swiping it again. They're looking down that right side for Jimenez. Trying to run at Ben Sweat. It never worked out for the left back here in Columbus, but returned home and has found some playing time and has played well recently. Had his struggles in the early portion of the season. Zach Portillos was the guy they had slated to be at left back for the Rowdies, but has had some tough luck with Achilles tears on both feet the last 2 seasons. There's San Filippo. King.
Not been much of a physical element to this one thus far, Neil. We'll keep an eye on that as minutes tick off the scoreboard and pressure mounts. But right now, for the most part, these teams are just trying to play the game.
Sweat. And Martinez, the Panamanian who scored, El Capitan. That's what his duties were with the U20s, and nothing like scoring your first goal, and how about doing it at the age of 19 in league play, where there's still a language barrier, but has shown his acumen and his good intelligence on a soccer field, where we have seen Martinez, who's been with the team for over a month before signing.
And Greg Berhalter works very, very hard on the player-centric idea. And as new guys come in, they're welcome. It doesn't matter how old, where they come from. There are expectations within the team about how they interact with one another. It's not a locker room built on negative type of competition, rather supportive, hardworking, and committed effort. That first early opportunity by Tampa Bay, neither team has really made anything particularly dangerous inside the penalty area. Maybe another opportunity now, then maybe not. The flag is up again.
Ristov is offside. The 31-year-old who spent much of his time in Bulgaria and the first divisions there, outside of short stints in Poland and Israel. But a versatile player, be a creator, can come up and score some goals. As he started the final 3 games of the league season and finished with 3. This Rowdies team scoring 11 goals and just conceding 8. They've been stingy defensively under the English-born but Scottish root of Stuart Campbell.
Well, they're well organized. There's no doubt about it. They're well organized. They're intelligent. The communication is good. At the same time, they have yet to see an attack quite like what they're facing tonight in terms of the players involved. Getting Waylon Francis up the left side really for the first time this evening. Most of the attacking prior to now has been on the right flank.
Barson, Columbus homegrown player, looking for Hollingsworth. It's in a more attack-minded role. Trying to show some patience here as we're winding down the first quarter hour. In a scoreless round of 32 matchup.
5 minutes in, Philadelphia has jumped ahead of Harrisburg. A couple of teams not separated by much in the way of miles. Jacksonville and Orlando, Rochester, New York Red Bulls all underway and scoreless.
4 MLS teams advancing last night, all from the Western Conference. No upsets. LA, Salt Lake, Colorado, Portland, who defeated Tampa Bay on their furthest venture in this competition 3 years ago when they upset Seattle. It's part of the process. Sweat. Ristov wide. Lobbing it up for Heineman, and Stuver out to grab it.
A long, wiry frame Brad Stuver has, not afraid to come off his line. And with that extended length with his arms, he can cover a lot of ground.
Made 5 saves against Mexican side Veracruz back on May 11th. That was a shutout victory. It spills off the boots of Chani. And Junior Burgos, 6 caps with El Salvador. His father Efrain played there. And that, of course, his junior's name was with Toronto FC, and he's built this attack into something of promise. And then a healed effort in the end by Cole is offline. Well, you can look at the resume of Joe Cole, and it speaks for itself. The 34-year-olds, 56 caps with England, 3 World Cups, a Euro. In 2004, really made hay, winning 10 trophies with Chelsea.
That's not bad. Again, we see Tampa very compact defensively, not more than about 20 yards between the front line and the back line, taking away that mid-third portion of the park, trying to force Columbus Crew SC to play long down the flanks. The black and gold are quite willing to do that.
Sanfilippo dealing with that ball. He's played 100 games for the club. 2011 to 2014, then went to Fort Lauderdale. They are always contesting that Florida Derby. Of course, for a short time, Fort Lauderdale known as Miami, but now there's a new Miami in NASL. Rayo OKC also joining the action this year. And then Puerto Rico, Carmelo Anthony's team coming along in the fall season. Nothing coming out of that action in the final third for Columbus. 16 minutes in the books. This stadium opening for business in 2001. One of the defending regular season Big Ten champions, under the direction of original Tampa Bay Rowdy John Bloom. There's a nice piece of nostalgia floating around too in the stands tonight. The old Bloom jersey.
Indeed.
Tampa Bay practiced here yesterday. On the field behind Jesse Owens. It slid right again as they try to find Jimenez, and that's the game plan for him to whip in some crosses. It'll be a throw.
Hector Jimenez had the corner. The pass was a little bit light and allowed Tampa Bay to get in and disrupt the attack. A little more pace on that ball, and Jimenez is probably moving between the edge of the penalty area and the top of the 6-yard box, but woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Tom Heineman, 2 goals as he provides some pressure here in the spring season. Dealt with a hamstring injury late in the campaign. Unbeaten in their final 3 games of the league season, Tampa Bay. Avila. Santa Barbara, Gaucho looking for Heineman, and Barson is getting in front of his former teammate to deal with it. Jimenez tracking back and trying to pump that back to midfield.
Your Tampa Bay supporter, you like that matchup as Heineman has size over both central defenders. Of course, we know that Michael Parkhurst is so intelligent a player about taking away position, how to use his body to gain advantage. Nonetheless, if you have an opportunity to flight a ball at Tommy Heineman, you're going to want to take advantage of it.
The pace of Francis has gotten beyond Avila, but he'll recover. Trying to stretch that back centrally. Guerra picking that off, and then Heineman shouldering off the captain Parkhurst. Waiting for numbers to arrive. There's the Miami native, Guerra. Angling it to the corner and then ran out of ideas. It's Larson and Martinez. And Merrim trying to hold things up to bring some more black shirts into play. As the skies grow darker off to the left, Columbus marches that way in search of first blood.
Continue to be impressed with the team defending from Tampa Bay. Very well organized. Keep their lines tight together. Smart about filling the passing lanes, inviting play into certain areas, and then ready to defend.
Stingy last spring. They only surrendered 9 goals. And in this 2016 calendar year, just giving up 8, which was 4th best in the 11-team league. 2nd division in American soccer. Shawnee's tackle is a swift one on Heineman. There's the Panamanian on loan from Chorrillo FC, Martinez. Michael Parkhurst closing in on 200 career games in his MLS career. Of course, a long stint with Nordsjælland in the Danish Superliga. There's the Danish international, Emil Larsen. 7 caps with the senior team, but now a chance to play in the Olympics. Sweat. As we near the midpoint of this opening 45 minutes, your impressions?
Very impressed with Tampa. They've come in with a game plan in mind. They've stuck to it, and it has served them well. Both teams have had opportunities in the attacking third, the more dangerous belonging to the visitors thus far. For Columbus Crew SC, yes, this group of players trains together, but this collection has never played in an actual match. So there's still a little bit of that uncertainty, if you will, Neil, about who's doing what, where, and when. On that occasion, we had Hollingsworth running diagonally into the middle, really running right up the back of Justin Merrim. You got to be very careful. You got to maintain your spacing.
Well, despite the hogging of possession, Columbus has not registered an official attempt. That Joel Cole effort is the only shot we have seen so far in the opening 21 minutes of play here in the capital city. King wants to push it. The Florida Atlantic Owl. Avila. And Burgos to create space and let it rip high.
Took advantage of the space you referenced, about 25 yards out. Moved his way towards the D. Let a shot go. Struck it with plenty of pace, but not much control.
His 2 starts in league play came in the early portion of the spring season. Junior Burgos had 1 goal. And had a few nagging injuries that cut down his minutes on the back half. Carolina, the New York Cosmos lost out on goal differential to Indy. Well, the only losses of the spring season for Tampa Bay, and that was knife through the middle for Martinez, but he is offside.
The early portion of the half, it was Jimenez and Martinez on the right side trying to make some things happen. As of late, a bit more to the left. I know Greg Berhalter is going to want to see that balance itself out.
Avila. King cut underneath. Columbus the throw in front of the bench. Larson trying to ping that. He's seen action in 3 league games. Hollingsworth, and intended target and assist in 6 games with Pittsburgh. Columbus's USL affiliate, who defeated Tampa Bay in an upset last year in the Open Cup in the 3rd round, 1-0.
Good spell for the visitors. Possession in the attacking half. Not yet able to really get into the penalty area, but dictating play right now. Columbus, conversely, seems quite content to maintain their own defensive posture.
Collins, much of his time in the championship with Sheffield United. And those Blades. Parkhurst dealing with that cross. On the second ball, Heineman kept it alive and a good hit. On the outside from Avila, who's hurt Columbus before in MLS play.
Yeah, a bit sloppy, wasn't it, Neil, by Columbus when they gained possession. Their attempt to clear it actually turned the ball over right above the D. And that wound up in the shot on goal. Just not much space to exploit right now for Columbus in possession, and that certainly speaks to the defensive organization of Tampa Bay. We've seen teams in MLS do this against Columbus Crew SC, and the way Columbus has been able to battle that is by going more direct. Speaking of which,
Junior Burgos, that run through the heart of the Columbus defense. Fans are starting to grow weary of the skies here in Central Ohio.
there's a team here at the stadium whose primary responsibility tonight is to monitor the weather.
Well, we are approaching what we've been told is a weather delay, a severe weather alert. That'll be at the discretion of Greg Dopka to make the call out on the field, as well as officials in the technical area. But Francis trying to sneak across in there for Merrim's late run. Pickens sees it all the way.
Member of the Costa Rican World Cup team and led Major League Soccer in assists by a defender last season.
And he's got one this year. In an effort to have the breakthrough in this round of 32, the fourth round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is on hold as we have hit that weather delay here at Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. And it's not under the jurisdiction of MLS rules, but more at the discretion of the teams and how they feel the storm will play out.
Yep, it is a U.S. soccer event, and their protocol is a little bit different. Rather than working with a specific time frame, for example, lightning flashes and you have to wait 30 minutes, there's nothing like that in play. It's done with weather technology. And they look at where the storms are and where they're going, and if they pass through, even if there's still lightning, but the storms are clearly moving away, that's a different story.
Those faces on your screen mean that there's not a lot going on down on the field. 26 minutes in, it's scoreless. Columbus, Tampa Bay in this round of 32, the fourth round, 2016 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. We will step out for a little bit here and come back with an update as we know more on ColumbusCrewSC.com as we wait out this severe weather alert in Central Ohio. We welcome you back on ColumbusCrewSC.com. It is the round of 32, fourth round, Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. There is the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel as the almost 2-hour weather delay about to conclude here at Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. Scoreless through 26 minutes between Columbus Crew Soccer Club and the Tampa Bay Rowdies of the North American Soccer League. As we have waited patiently through thunderstorms that have come through the Ohio State University campus area and Central Ohio in general. And when it's all said and done, an hour and 55 minutes, the time of wait before we restart this thing. And as we gave some updates to Dwight Burgess during the course of that delay, the big question was coming back out, warming up, the mental focus to go back out in this knockout competition and how the teams will fare from there.
Yeah, they'll be very specific in their preparations as they get ready to go back out onto the field, make sure that they have everything in place and they have to feel right. There'll be a lot of communication between the players and the training staff just to make sure if anybody's particularly tight, having trouble getting this or that in place. So it will be a very deliberate process. Hopefully the storms are out of here between unicorns. I think things are looking better.
Some of the fans, as you can see, have peppered back into the grandstands. It holds 10,000 here at this facility, which opened in 2001. Black and gold played here in a round of 32 game in the Open Cup back in 2005. A loss to FC Dallas. Frankie Haydick, an assist and a red card in that one. Scoreless through 26 minutes, and as the current affair has played out, the Rowdies have all 3 shot attempts in this game, but Columbus fairly right-handed. Hector Jimenez, a lot of crosses. There have been a few corners. What has stood out to you from the gameplay, if you can remember back that far?
Well, I know I'm getting older, but I think I can go back there. You're right-handed through much of the 25 minutes and change that have been played. The last couple of minutes, there was some more penetration on the left side, starting to get Waylon Francis engaged. But as I've mentioned a couple of times, I think Tampa came in with a game plan, and they have to be pleased with where they are. But this is a long game. It's a different type of game now, playing into the locker room, returning to the field. The field's a little more wet than it was. Not too much wind, so I don't think that's going to be a factor, but definitely conditions have changed.
We're in the process of a 10-minute warm-up. 9:22 is our official restart time between Columbus and Tampa Bay. And then the halftime break will only be 10 minutes, not 15.
Oh, that'll help.
Just got to wait some more. They've got pizza coming for you as we waited this out patiently. And, of course, this is back-to-back home affairs. The MLS game against Real Salt Lake went 90 minutes, and it's really been a string the last 4 or 5 years when you talk about crew games and weather delays that have been very prevalent.
It's really interesting because there were a lot of years when concerns were expressed about problems related to the weather, but they really didn't come to fruition. But yeah, the last couple of years we have seen multiple occasions of weather problems, but certainly not isolated. Kansas City has had some. Obviously a terrible spring in Texas, in particular in Houston. Dallas just had to have a game moved because of the weather. So it's just, it's part of what we deal with in late spring, early summer.
Now, we have seen some lightning bolts go off here during the warm-up, and as long as they're outside of an 8-mile radius, it can be deemed to continue play as scheduled. Of course, that's at the discretion of all those in charge of the affair tonight, as U.S. Soccer presides over this matchup. First ever meeting between Columbus and Tampa Bay. Of course, they were old foes for 6 years in MLS play. The Tampa Bay Mutiny, now defunct. A 15-15 all-time regular season matchup, and Columbus is 2-1 in Open Cup competition against Floridian teams, beating Miami twice, falling last year in the round of 16 to Orlando City after defeating Richmond. Rowdies, round of 16, that's the furthest they've been in the competition. That was 2013. Lost to Portland and defeated Seattle on the way to the process. Upset by Pittsburgh last year of the USL, 1-0. They won 2 soccer bowls, one in their old tenure in 1975, their very first year of existence, as they beat Portland and the Minnesota Stars of 2012, but since then have not made the playoffs. Since that championship year, their spring season ended with 4 wins, 4 ties, and 2 defeats. Tied for 4th, but just a couple of points behind the New York Cosmos and the Indy 11, who won the spring season based on goal differential. They had to win by a 3-0 margin in that final game. They did so 4-1. Stuart Campbell, the Rowdies head coach, Greg Berhalter for Columbus, as the alignment is taking shape, and our referee Greg Dopka is ready to set the whistle back into play. Black for the home club, and those traditional green and gold hoops for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Pickens is in goal in their 4-3-3 formation. They've got Collins, King, Sanfilippo, and Sweat, Guerra, Cole, and Burgos, the midfielders, with Ristoff, Heineman, Avila, 2 former Columbus players, and Heineman and Sweat in that Tampa Bay lineup. For the black and golds, they've got Waylon Francis, Michael Parkers, Chad Barson, Hector Jimenez. That's the back 4 from left to right, in front of goalkeeper Brad Stuver, Rodrigo Saravia, Tony Chani, Marshall Hollingsworth, the Division III college product, who was drafted out of Wheaton College, is playing up with Emil Larson. Christian Martinez coming off his goal in Philadelphia, the youngest player to score, and Justin Merrim. Ball will be in the hands of Matt Pickens when play resumes, as it does now. And we are back underway. 1 hour and 55 minutes of patience. And we're glad you're back with us on ColumbusCrewSC.com, the 4th round of this 103rd edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. It's King, as he has often so far through the opening 27 minutes. A little stop in between, going down the right side. He's going to earn the Rowdies' first corner kick of the night.
Opportunity for Tampa Bay right out of the weather delay to make a statement.
And a glance Lansing attempt at a header by Joe Cole. Check it, it's their second corner taken. And now it's Hollingsworth. A lot of pace. This youngster who's played at the fullback role since turning pro and scored near 50 goals in college in Wheaton, just outside of Chicago. There's the Danish international Larson. For the pro being Martinez, and back to Pickens. Long MLS career with Chicago and Colorado. He was their keeper of record when they won the cup in 2010. A flourish to the attacking third. Columbus trying to push it early after this restart of play. As we're coming up on the half hour. Tom Heineman, 2 goals in that spring season, 3 goals in his time in 2011, and then an injury-plagued 12 year before he was off to Vancouver.
Neither team seems to be showing any rust coming out of the locker room. In fact, the pace of play is quite quick.
It's almost like they were ready to go right from the whistle after that long stretch of sitting around. Kudos to the fans who have stuck around through the delay. Here's Mara. So technical and good. The ball at his feet on that dribble. Burgos whisked that away briefly off Larson. Saravia looks to steady it. Now it's Chotty. Cole came over at the start of May. Really a big impact in his time already for the decorated Englishman. Francis with good one-touch passing coming down the left wing. Now it's retorted by Jimenez and grabbed in the air by Pickens.
Tampa continues to show real discipline in their defending, making it a challenge for Columbus Crew SC to get forward.
Barson wins that. And off the hand of Guerra. Quick restart, Chani. After about a month-and-a-half absence, battling various calf injuries, both the left and the right. And he has returned. Avila falls. Francis whips it in. It's over the head of Mara. Martinez trying to get to that late arriving ball that was low from Jimenez.
Certainly the most dangerous opportunity for Columbus Crew SC thus far in the match. They work both sides of the penalty area. A couple of crosses, unable to get the right redirect touch, but good pressure nonetheless.
Still not an official shot registered by the home club. Hosting an NASL side for the second time in 3 years on a college campus. The last in Akron when they went to extra time to beat the Indy 11 in 2014. Neil Collins, a good addition to Stuart Campbell's back line this year.
Neil, 3 finals in Open Cup actions thus far this evening. Philadelphia, Orlando, and Red Bulls all victorious. So the run of MLS success continues. Fort Lauderdale, however, is taking DC United into overtime.
If you're a casual fan and observer, this is the time you're keeping an eye on those possible upsets, and we've had some great ones through the years in this competition. The oldest in American soccer. Saravia now up to 4 caps with Guatemala. Playing against Venezuela, who has advanced to the quarterfinals. Will play Argentina in Copa America play. And is out in front of the Rowdies bench. Stuart Campbell was a player coach, not only his time at Tampa Bay, but with the Bristol Rovers, playing for the Gas. The Football League. Family loved the Tampa area so much. There was an opportunity to come play here and close out his career. He took over for the fired Thomas Rongen last fall. Looking over the top, Martinez. And staying with him is Ben Sweat, who did not play a league game with Columbus in 2014, despite being the 14th pick in the draft. We've just passed the half hour and awaiting the game's opening goal.
Better spell for Columbus Crew SC in terms of consistent attacking pressure. Tampa, both in terms of width and depth, maintaining their defensive discipline, forcing the black and gold to work their way through, but beginning to see a few more opportunities than we did in the opening 25 minutes or so.
Just 16 players dressed for Greg Berhalter's team. Fighting the injury bug right now since the start of June and really the end of May for that matter. Big headline in that is the Gaston Sarro PCL. Rumbling was Hollingsworth and Avila. And the call goes Tampa Bay's way. Rowdies last playing 2 weeks ago in the Open Cup, defeating FC Cincinnati at Al Lang Stadium. 11th minute goal by Ristoff. A strong finish to his season. Scattered across and picked off by Chani.
Tampa's going to be disappointed with that effort. They had a free kick attacking half, a chance to really shove some bodies forward and try and create some problems for Columbus in and around the penalty area, but just as quickly as they restarted, they gave up possession of the ball.
Swept it away. He's still down. Merrim slaloming through the penalty area before it's knocked away, and now some Tampa Bay personnel taking exception to what might have gone on back there with Justin Merrim.
I think it
surrounded by 4 or 5 green and gold shirts.
You mentioned there's a Tampa player down, and I think what's really going on here is that Columbus continued to play while he was injured. The sporting thing to do is to stop play in such a situation, but it's certainly not a rule. And an opportunity for the referee to get this thing back under control.
And that, of course, is at the referee's discretion. Something pending a head injury is really the only thing they can deem where he'll stop it immediately. Tampa Bay not happy with the lack of respect, perhaps, from Merrim. We're just over 10 minutes till the half, which will be a shortened halftime interval. We waited almost 2 hours to resume action. Pod system and the opponent and site to be determined for the winner of this comes tomorrow. And to keep teams in a regional setting. Providence born and bred, Michael Parkhurst. Chad Barson playing on this field numerous times with an Akron zip. Center back surveying. And that pass down the line, picked off by King. Heineman. Burgos in one touch. With a pop over the top. Ristoff. It's Burgos showing some patience. Sweat building forward. He looks to be okay, and that's looped in right at Stuver.
Certainly wouldn't say that Tampa has come in to play a counter-attacking style, but the last few minutes have seen Columbus have most of the possession, and then Tampa, when they did get the ball, was able to get forward very quickly.
Here is Merrim. Larson, big lift to his confidence. That hat trick against Nigeria, which was over in Korea. Tune-up for the Danes. As we're inside of 2 months to the Summer Games in Rio. They're allowed 3 overage players. And Larson at 24 is in line to be one of them. And Sweat continuing to hamper around with that ball going out.
Benny Fellhaber's spot kick in the 65th minute has given Sporting Kansas City a lead over Minnesota. We are closing in on potentially the first MLS team losing. New York City is down to the Cosmos in stoppage time.
And the Cosmos have wreaked havoc on their local brethren in this competition in recent years. Go back Columbus's way. Well, 3 games in a row of active competition for Barson. He did get a minute against Salt Lake and then started the first time since last August against Philadelphia.
Very serviceable pro is Chad Barson, understands his role, takes care of himself, and has stepped in and performed well when he's been called upon.
Active in this competition last year. Columbus actually played a 3-5-2 in their victory at Richmond. Talking with Greg Berhalter, asking if he was going to do that again. He goes, we don't have 3 center backs right now to make that happen. Tyson Wall is on the mend and perhaps ready for the weekend. Larson.
It's a good pocket that Merrim found, came back to get the ball, gave him a little space with which to operate, but so many numbers around him as Tampa continues to drop deeper and deeper defensively. I really think perhaps a more direct approach might benefit the home side.
Christoph Burgos wide.
It's a good hit.
Started with the pace of Darnell King up the right wing. Scoreless in minute 38. Are you noticing as Merrim, as we have resumed here after the delay, kind of sneaking back into more comfortable positions? He was the out-and-out striker as the 9, but more of a false 9, slipping in between the gaps.
Yeah, players tend to default to the parts of the field where they're most comfortable. Justin is certainly not concerned with doing the work. He's been out wide. It's a different type of running. But Tampa is playing so conservatively defensively when Columbus does get in the attacking half that finding space is not easy in the center channel the way it might be by comparison if you were out on the flank. Has gone final, by the way, Cosmos Speed NYCFC.
First upset. Tail down in the channel. Jimenez and a Columbus free kick upcoming here in minute 39. Scoreless in this round of 32 matchup.
Game is starting to settle into a little bit more of what I was expecting coming in, where Columbus, with their focus on possession, beginning to see more and more of the ball. Tampa, who created some danger early on, has had to deal more with counterattacks as of late. But as you pointed out statistically at the top of the broadcast, and it bears repeating, this is a very, very good team defensively, individually and collectively.
Just gave up 8 goals in their spring season of NASL play. They resume the 20-game fall campaign at the start of July. Oh, it's Waylon Francis lining up over this. The left-footed ball that bends to the side netting. Pickens.
Clever look there. Pickens, you're right, did have to dive off, but Waylon Francis clearly shooting that at the near post. And when you've got a surface wet like this one is, if you can get the ball to dive in low, it's going to skip. Very difficult for the goalkeeper to handle in that case.
Pickens had 4 shutouts. The defense had 4 shutouts in that 10-game run. That was tied for second best in the league.
It's kind of a one and done thing right now for Tampa. If they're not able to get into the attacking third with possession, they tend to lose the ball and then they scramble to get back. But that has been their strength here in the first half, is not allowing Columbus to get out in front of them.
Hollingsworth, it's been tough to find room around the speed of Avila and King on the left. But it's Larson breaking the line here. And Merrim controlling to give Columbus the 1-0 lead in the 41st.
Larson timed his run perfectly, Neil. Tampa players turned to look for the flag. It stayed down. It appeared to be the correct call. Larson came in, found Merrim. The ball deflected, but Justin had the confidence and composure to stay with it. And then a left-footed driven ball past Pickens, and a late first half lead for the home team.
Justin Merrim resuming the scoring touch. He's got 2 goals in league play. Last not coming since April 16th. He's been the assist man as of late, but that'll feel good to finish on that fine run coming out of the midfield by Larson.
Important now that Columbus maintain their discipline in play and be no worse than up 1-0 into the upcoming shortened halftime.
Well, Dwight, you alluded to it, the tempo, the rhythm, the urgency when Columbus has had the ball since play has resumed much better. But a chance here off the volley for Ristov as it was floated across by Avila.
Yeah, I think both coaches are going to be comfortable with the way their teams have performed since coming out of that long break. Not as consistent in the attack since the break we've talked about with Tampa, but when they have gotten forward on an occasion like that, legitimate opportunity.
Good control on that touch by Larson, the pass just off. Good technical player Larson, who's wanting to see his minutes increase, signed in January for OB in the Danish Superliga for 3 years. Was 24. It's an open sweat as the shirted defenders collapse. We're inside of 2 minutes remaining. It's an elongated first half, which will see an abbreviated halftime. Junior Burgos with Salvadorian pedigree on loan from Atlanta United. Ristov battling Heineman, that big target presence, and he has rolled to the ground here. Sometimes I'm talking about those big target guys, whether it be Mwangu, they brought in Heineman. They've been stranded a little bit. It's part of the reason they've moved Ristov more to the front over their last few games of league play. He's playing out wide here, and the concern is the health of Heineman at the moment.
Back on his feet, obviously has had some injury problems, but a big, strong, and in many respects, kind of the prototypical target forward in this 4-3-3 system that Tampa Bay plays. You like to have a guy like Tommy Heineman in the center channel, but it's still a matter of finding him with the right balls at the right time and in the right places. There are other parts of the field where Columbus is going to let Tommy Heineman run and have possession there. And that's really kind of the mental part of the game, is which team is able to put their design on the other.
9-year pro. Scored 8 goals with Ottawa last year, 14. In fact, their most in their brief history. And helped lead them to the Soccer Bowl. They did lose. This will be a Columbus throw. Taking the lead in the final 5 minutes of this first half. Merrim from Larson. Martinez. Got 1 minute of first half stoppage time.
Tampa still making it very difficult for Columbus to possess through the center. The greater space is on the flanks.
Well, as we have talked about through the opening 13 games of the league season, it will continue to be a topic of discussion. The chances created, the conversion of those chances, and adding on to a lead to maybe help alleviate pressure, put the game away, will be a continued talking point.
Yeah, winning games 1-0 is something that you talk about afterward. You don't go out there and try and hold on. The mentality has to be go get a second goal. And statistically speaking, for Columbus Crew SC under Greg Berhalter, their record when scoring at least 2 goals is outstanding. So that continues to be the focal point.
41st minute, the time of the goal. We'll have to double check if that Larson pass was deflected. They officially give him an assist. He helps set the play up on his run through the right side into the penalty area. And Justin Merrim is Found the scoring touch for the first time since mid-April. The black and gold lead Tampa Bay of the NASL in this round of 32 fixture. Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup 1-0. We waited an hour and 55 minutes, but all said and done, the tempo and energy was there after that long break, and it paid off for Columbus with the goal.
You never really know how the teams are going to come out of the locker room when they've had a weather break of that length, but I think both teams came out and played with a lot of enthusiasm, with a lot of energy, each team sticking with their game plan. Tampa Bay has created enough opportunities to make an argument for a goal, but they are scoreless at this point. Fewer shots thus far on the evening for Columbus, but they've been better by one.
1-0 is the score. Columbus at the break, an abbreviated halftime of just 10 minutes. A reminder, league play resumes for the black and gold Saturday. Didier Drogba is in town with Montreal. That is a 7:30 kick. All you can eat tailgate tickets include a match ticket, unlimited picnic food items, and beverages through kickoff in the Stadium Club tent. Those tickets start at $29, columbuscrewsc.com, and 5-match plans. They are available throughout the season. Start at only $22 per match. Crewsc.com, 614-447-2739. A short respite for us. Columbus 1, Tampa Bay 0 here on columbuscrewsc.com.
Friendly service with over 2,000 professionals taking care of you and your family. Monthly insurance.
Tickets when Crew SC takes on the Montreal Impact this Saturday, June 18th. All-you-can-eat tailgate tickets include a match ticket and unlimited hot dogs, barbecue pulled chicken, chips, potato salad, baked beans, and Pepsi products through kickoff. All-you-can-eat tailgate tickets start at only $29 and can be purchased at columbuscrewsc.com or ticketmaster.com. Tickets are still available at ColumbusCrewSC.com or Ticketmaster.com. Following the match on June 25th against the New York Red Bulls, Crew SC will light up the sky for our annual firework extravaganza presented by Patel right from the Montgomery Stadium field. Tickets are still available at ColumbusCrewSC.com or Ticketmaster.com. Act now to take advantage of limited time savings, the flexibility to select your matches, and purchase priority for Montgomery Stadium events with Crew SC's 10-match plan. Availability is subject to change. Visit ColumbusCrewSC.com or call 614-447-2739 to purchase your 2016 10-match plan today.
Well, we knew halftime would be brief. It was 1-0 Columbus at the start of half number 2. Neil Sika, Dwight Burgess, 4th round. Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup 2016. A couple of changes for Columbus to start this second half. Ethan Finley going to come on for Justin Merrim. And Will Trapp has replaced Tony Chani in midfield. One Tampa Bay change. Walter Ramirez, the Honduran, will come on for Tom Heineman, who took a spill toward the end of the half, probably just being precautionary. Probably not the half Tom Heineman wanted in his return to Columbus. But now the vice captain for the black and gold Trapp takes to the field, and home club will try to add another and see this one out to advance to the round of 16. Dwight Burgess.
Good first half for Columbus Crew SC. It's a good first half for Tampa Bay. They were able to generate the type of offense they wanted. Probably not as many opportunities as they would like to have, but they did have a couple of legitimate goal-scoring chances, a pair of shots that were off the mark. Defended very, very well, but in the end find themselves chasing the game a little bit right now.
Francis hit that early ball looking for Finley. And the black and gold keep it on the throw. In this knockout round format, we are tied after 90. We go to extra time. Penalties are in the folds if nothing is solved by then. Good industry by Martinez. Catapulted off that corner flag and then kind of had a perplexed look when he went down under the pressure of sweat. No harm done, and back to midfield. Burgos, the Ristov, and now an advanced role. Starting the final 3 games of league play. He sits up there now, and it's turned over. And at the feet of Joe Cole, who can definitely stir something up for Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, I think, had more in that opportunity than perhaps they realized. You had Columbus Crew SC players scrambling to get back after the turnover.
Ristov working hard. MVP of the league in 2013. Hollingsworth tucking under the effort of Avila. Played 26 minutes, then waited an hour and 55 for a storm, multiple storms to pass through. And Merrim scoring unassisted, although set up by Larson in the 41st. On the run, it's Martinez! No matter the competition, he finds net. Second in as many competitions, and the young Panamanian has doubled the lead in the 48th.
That is exactly the way Greg Berhalter's system is supposed to work. Ball started short of the halfway line, was played diagonally out wide, down the channel. Ball whipped across, late runner coming in, and a one-time left-footed finish. And just about the best start to the second half that you could hope for. If you're a Columbus Crew SC supporter, Tampa Bay Rowdies are going to have to start throwing more emphasis now into the attack.
Great cross by Francis. Even better if it was left off by Finley. We'll check the official scoring, but Christian Martinez, this youngster who's been around for about a month before his signing made official, be finding a little bit of a comfort zone, and with only 16 healthy bodies tonight, and perhaps for the foreseeable future, they're going to need him. Tampa Bay trying to get an answer right back. They've fallen behind by 2 now. 3 minutes into this second half, the lead doubled. And that shot from King going astray. It's a goal kick for Stuver.
Good response from Tampa Bay after allowing that goal. They immediately put their foot on the gas pedal, got into the attack. A couple of opportunities to serve the ball in from the flank, couldn't get on the end of it, but nonetheless, quality opportunities.
Larson turning in traffic. We've seen him do that a couple of times neatly tonight. Now trying to thread the through ball. Kind of have to like the way they have come out in this second half, looking to go to the left side and get Waylon Francis involved, and he's served him some good balls, including the one that led to the goal.
Yeah, we talked about it, didn't we? That in the early part of the game, certainly the pre-storm portion of the match, far more right-handed. Now they've swung that pendulum the other direction. A little bit surprised that Larson picked that particular pass, which was basically a short, straight ball. Waylon Francis is coming out of the back. He's maintaining his width, probably anticipating a diagonal ball in front of him that he can serve one time, as opposed to turning the corner and getting in behind the defense.
Well, we're seeing Columbus find their comfort zone. As you've watched Tampa Bay play, what can they do to maybe get a guy like Ristov more involved, or do they move Joe Cole forward, try and enable him in the attack a little bit more?
You have to stay to some degree to what it is that you do. If you get completely out of rhythm, the opportunity to find positive results is minimized. But at the same time, they're down 2. They can't hold back.
Hollingsworth took a bump. King staying with it, staying strong. And their second half substitutes, Ramirez, who's 32, an 11-year pro. Columbus saw him 2 years ago in the game against Indy 11 in Akron. 7 games in 2014, last season and a half with the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. So he's been in NASL for a while. What a touch, Saravia. And he goes down. It's a penalty. And a card to King. Things spinning out of haste for Tampa Bay, and Columbus to strike the hammer blow 5 minutes into the second half.
You know, I mentioned on the prior Columbus Crew SC attack that I was a little bit surprised about the angle of Larson's pass. This one was spot on. It was the diagonal ball out into the flank for the overlapping run. The early cross was played, dummied through, presented the opportunity, and then, of course, the penalty is called.
That was Jimenez. Great dummy by Finley, and then Saravia. Little step and go. And King brings him down. So Finley to the spot. They struck once in the 48th to double the lead, and Finley 3 minutes after that can make it 3. Saravia was a little slow to get up. He is okay. King picked up a caution. Finley picks up a third. Pickens guessed right, but hit beautifully by Ethan Finley.
What a goalkeeper, the physical stature of Pickens guesses right on the penalty kick, and you still beat him. You know that's a quality finish. So Ethan Finley enters and makes his presence known. Of course, he's playing. We talked about Justin Miram in that top position in the first half. Ethan's up there, and of course, it's a whole different world. He has the quickness to exploit some of the spaces. On this occasion, though, he's unopposed at the penalty spot.
Miram in the 41st before halftime. Martinez with Finley assisting on that from Francis. Now Finley from the spot. And Columbus breaking it open very early in this second half, 3-0. A lot of time remaining. Tampa Bay will try to nick one back. Give themselves some confidence. Ramirez, they had a good response after the second goal, but it's been solid defending inside the penalty area from Columbus. There it's Webb from left to right and over the head of Ristov. Martinez fouled.
I think the big change in the game has been since the teams returned following that weather delay. Energy, enthusiasm, effort, everything's been there for both teams. The one difference is Columbus Crew SC has found their finishing touch, whereas Tampa Bay had their opportunities prior to the rain and storms coming through and couldn't quite get one into the back of the net. But for Columbus Crew SC, it has not been something, Neil, they've been able to do consistently thus far this season, and that's to turn a 1-goal lead into 2 or more.
Ethan Finley scored against the Richmond Kickers last year. So 2 straight Open Cup competition round of 32 goals. That's a mouthful, really is. Adam Bedell had the brace in that game to help propel for the victory on the road. And then they were shut out at Orlando City. Miram scoring tonight. Played 2 games off the bench. All parts of the act. Those guys up top who wouldn't normally play there have scored, being via penalty. Martinez on a textbook Columbus play, and now the line is broken down. Jimenez flashing that across, and Finley just missing out on his second in 3 minutes.
It's a good ball in terms of the service. It was really played through, but at that pace, it was one and done. It wasn't an opportunity for anybody else in black and gold to get into the penalty area to support the early run from Ethan Finley. So if that ball isn't played directly to him, the attack isn't going to be finished.
Avila. This is Ristov trying to create some danger in that penalty area. He lofted it up looking for Burgos. That deep defensive line, Columbus able to clear back to midfield. Neil Collins. Guerra. Now it's Sweat.
You know, that last attack for Tampa Bay, Neil, just more of what we've been talking about. They've gotten themselves into really good, really dangerous positions, just still searching for that finishing touch, and you wonder, Tommy Heineman and his size on these couple of crosses that have come in higher, might he have been able to get on the end of them?
No, that's just the thing. 5 shots, 1 on target, and you have to say, if you're Brad Stuver, you've had it on easy street, really, for the most part. Can change in the course of 35 minutes. That's how Matt Pickens felt against FC Cincinnati. They had a late flourish at FCC late in that game as Tampa Bay hung on to a 1-0 victory. Almost 79 minutes in that one. It's a goal kick to Stuver. He made 5 saves against Veracruz on May 11th. His only action to date. He's been the backup keeper going back to last May. Trap. Jimenez. Next round of action in this competition comes 2 weeks from now. Most of it will primarily be played on the 29th, but that's open for interpretation if there's a scheduling conflict or two. Columbus would hope to host again if they do advance. 3-0. 2 goals after the halftime break, 1 before. Merrim, Martinez, Finley. To Rodrigo Saravia with a nice touch and run, drawing the penalty on Darnell King. Columbus has made 2 of their 3 substitutions. Tampa Bay has 2 at their disposal.
It's one of the oddities of this game. You look at the scoreboard, it says 3-0. That would tend to reflect a particular type of contest. And on this occasion, I think it would be the incorrect decision to make. I think this has been a very competitive game. You look at that first 25 minutes or so, I think Tampa Bay came out and really showed what they wanted to do, put themselves into good finishing positions a couple of times. If they can get one to go, Neil, the way they play defensively, because they're so intelligent, they're so well organized, it really complicates things. But when you can't get that finishing touch and then the opponent finally scores, well, you have to change the way you play in order to get back in the game.
This fell to Larson. Dwight, you and I darn well know as this foul will set up a free kick. And again, it's the intelligence of Saravia winning it and drawing it. 3 goal leads have been anything but a sure bet for Columbus this year. Now, I know that's league play, but it's a good chance to work on that cushion. And one of the keys to that has not been allowing a goal, a response goal that has come right after they have built big leads.
It's a game of rhythm. And when it's working for you, things can go very well, but it can also quickly turn the other direction. And we've seen that a couple of times this year.
Closing in on the hour mark and almost 2/3 of the way through with a 3-goal lead and a free kick within range. Ethan Finley teeing that up for Trapp. Will Trapp had a couple of shots in the game against Salt Lake. And to go back to March, the last time he had let the ball fly off his foot. It goes into the wall. Now looking to reinstall. It's Jimenez. Back to Barson.
We talk so often about how Michael Parkhurst just sort of goes about his business, and there are periods of the game where you don't even notice him. I think we've seen that out of Chad Barson tonight. You've hardly called his name.
Yeah, good point. A spin out of a jam Cole. Guerra. Junior Burgos holding it up.
And I think to finish that thought, Neil, it speaks very highly of both Chad Barson, but also the Greg Berhalter system, because Chad is the 5th different player to slide into a central back role this season. So they chose 4 other guys before him, and yet now he's been called upon, and he's doing quite well.
Avila, good work. I'm trying to feed that over to Ramirez on the cross. He'll keep it in. The Honduran. The forehead of Saravia. Yeoman's-like work for Chad Barson. It's center back, of course, in college at Akron. And the defending doing its job through 60 minutes here tonight. We appreciate your patience as you've been watching along on ColumbusCrewSC.com. 3-0 after almost a 2-hour weather delay here on the Ohio State University campus, Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. An Open Cup match played here 11 years ago in the round of 32, and 11 features against Ohio State in the Connor Senn Memorial match. Always was nice benefiting that cause. Genital heart defects, and of course became so much more prevalent after the club lost Kirk Urso in 2012. It's turned aside and run down out wide. Avila. King. Burgos turning. And off a hop, Stuver has it no problem.
Took it very well. That's the best goal scoring opportunity we've seen out of Tampa Bay since the second half begun. And as mentioned, while the score is a bit lopsided on the scoreboard right now, if you look at all of these matchups taking place yesterday, today, where an NASL team, for example, is playing an MLS team, these are all close games. Fort Lauderdale and DC United played 90 minutes plus full overtime, scoreless. They're going to penalties now. Minnesota came from behind against Sporting Kansas City. They're now in overtime, tied at 1. So these are all very, very competitive games.
If you're an MLS club, you're feeling good for the most part from last night into tonight, unless you're in New York City, as the Pigeons go down for the second year in a row to the Cosmos. Parkhurst.
See Will Trapp taking on a predominantly deeper role thus far this evening than we might normally see, and that's a combination of different reasons. Certainly not afraid to step in to join the attack, but he's so smart about where to be and when to be there. And of course, he's got Michael Parkhurst behind him, keeping everything organized.
Barson off the touch, nicked that forward. Sanfilippo, one-time veteran of the league in the second division, drafted by San Jose back in 2003, played collegiately at San Jose State. Francis, who has an assist on the Martinez goal. Inside of 25 minutes remaining, it is all Columbus right now. A couple more options off that bench if Stuart Campbell chooses to some guys into the mix. Danny Mwanga, a threat, had a great rookie season in Philadelphia despite his journeys with 5 MLS clubs. He's primarily come off of the bench through that spring season. One of the better chance creators in that spring season was Khalif Al Hassan, the former Timber. He's also available, and everyone looks at that Tampa Bay roster and they say Freddie Adu is there. Freddie Adu is not playing. He's been in the 18 a couple of times, including both of the Open Cup games, but different coaches, different expectations, and what they deem from their personnel. And Stuart Campbell has been very blunt in saying that there's a list of things Freddie Adu needs to hit on the progression list, and it's coming closer, but hasn't found time to institute him yet. This is a pretty build-up. And Hollingsworth! Yes! From Jimenez, 4-0. 65th minute.
You can't be anything but happy for the young man. Coming out of a small college setting, Wheaton in Illinois, Division III. It's difficult to crack a lineup of professionals in an organization that has been so successful over the past couple of years, but to the point Greg Berhalter has made so many times that I think some begin to dismiss it, Neil, but we're seeing that whole next man up attitude. He used his pace to get into position and then fired a low shot off the inside of the far post.
Veterans, youngsters, they've all played a part tonight. It's turning into a round of the Rowdies. Inside of 25 minutes remaining. Well, Marshall Hollingsworth knows how to find net. He had 45 goals in college, D3 school or not. He had 18 his senior year and was identified by this coaching staff combine, the Crew College Combine. They have every December. He's played well in Pittsburgh from the fullback role, had an assist there. Made a nice run on a great pass by Jimenez and angled that right off the far post.
Greatest misnomer in college soccer is that there is some measure of significant difference between the Division I programs and the Division III. Certainly the high end of Division I, no question, that's the elite level. But there are outstanding Division III programs from across the country. Of course, you look here in Columbus at Ohio Wesleyan, Jay Martin, the winningest coach of all time, college soccer, any level. You've had other schools like Wittenberg with All-American forward. It is not unusual to see players of that caliber playing in the small college setting. They do it for a lot of different reasons, but clearly showing that he can play at the next level. Will he ever be a star? Will he be a kind of guy who can play 90 minutes on a regular basis? Well, time will tell on that, but he's clearly shown that athletically and mentally he's tough enough to go toe-to-toe with professionals.
Had a little bout with a concussion a few weeks ago, but back healthy. Great Division III programs. You mentioned Wittenberg. We're going to talk about their revival soon enough under the great Dwight Burgess. 4-0.
You know, really up until Columbus got their second goal, we talked repeatedly about how well Tampa Bay was playing defensively, and in particular their organization, their structure, both in terms of depth and width. Well, obviously now that they're having to chase the game on the scoreboard a little bit, you're starting to see those gaps open up between lines, and those are the areas in which Columbus has found some success.
Goal with a run here that looked promising. Columbus able to get back. Well, so often was the case, even the last 3 or 4 years in these early round matchups. You're expected to win. If you don't win heavily, then you didn't show enough, or it was a disappointing performance. We've seen some upsets, not only with Columbus, but other MLS teams. It's really a no-win situation, but this is a game of a lot of conviction ever since that weather delay for the black and gold.
And I think we're at a different time. Major League Soccer continues to expand, and I think when you look at the high end of the NASL, Indy 11 winning the first half of the season, of course the history, Tampa Bay Rowdies, there isn't another franchise with that kind of history outside of arguably the New York Cosmos. These are teams, these are organizations that are playing at a high enough level, and if the pieces were to fall into place, they could make a transition into MLS. Certainly Minnesota's going to get that opportunity, aren't they?
And they have a couple of former Columbus players that have done very well, including Ben Spies. Based on goal differential, that was the difference which put them into the playoffs. Or rather, put them into 4th place over Tampa Bay in that spring season. Look at this. It's wide from Larson. They're hungry for more, a 5th. And a final substitution with 20 minutes remaining. A 4-0 lead. Corey Ash is going to come on here. Ash had a run of 4 consecutive starts. He'll replace the captain, Michael Parkhurst. And the guys you'll be looking at on Saturday when they take on Montreal, getting a little bit of a run here tonight, and job done, and come off to a nice round of applause and some rest.
Just another day at the office for Michael Parkhurst. Second upset of the evening, Fort Lauderdale has defeated DC United on penalties. In the shootout, United was up 3-1. Didn't convert again. Fort Lauderdale made their 3 remaining shots to win 4-3 on penalties.
So 2 NASL teams have moved on to the round of Sweet 16.
Both by shutout.
Cosmos advancing. Fort Lauderdale, who was Miami at one time, they've got a big rivalry with these Tampa Bay Rowdies. Joe Cole's night is over. Justin Chavez coming on He was picked by Chicago in the supplemental draft in 2012. Didn't make the club. He's been with Fort Lauderdale, but played 15 games and 7 starts for Tampa Bay. Versatile player. Played on the back line last year. The 26-year-old who played collegiately at Tulsa. So he replaces Cole. We're inside of 20 minutes. 3 of the 4 goals for the home club coming in this second half. Martinez and Hollingsworth. The veterans, Merrim and Finley from the spots. Not in that order, but with great efficiency. It's coming out just past the 9 o'clock hour. Well, the way these standings are set, Tampa Bay is poised to put themselves in perhaps playoff position if they have a good fall season. They had a good spring season in 2015. The fall let them down. Lack of goals hurt them there. Finishing in a tie for 4th in that spring season, and another decent output could get them in the 4-team playoff.
It's a good entry ball there for Finley, defended pretty well. And unfortunately, then a foul, and it's going to go against Ethan Finley. But Ethan isn't sure why. Philly, Orlando, and New York Red Bulls have all won this evening. Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota are in overtime.
1,064 have come out to meet up with Brutus and SC. A conjoined effort as the Pro Club. A 4-0 lead in the 73rd. Largest margin of victory. This would eclipse the most recent time of a 3-0 win against Charleston back in 2010. That was a memorable run to the Open Cup final. In the middle of the 3 titles Seattle won, Columbus had went up there, taken the lead on a Kevin Burns goal. We're going to watch Sananayasi strike with 2 before the half, and that's how it finished. Foul here. Ramirez, the Honduran, takes down the Panamanian. So even a little Copa America Centenario influence.
Now the most
night in Columbus.
Sorry, Neil. The most important thing for both of these teams at this stage of the match is to get out of here without any injury, and certainly not any unnecessary injuries. Something that's done out of frustration, as an example.
Of course, I should amend that. Honduras not in the tournament, but Haiti is catching the eye and maybe on the rise in CONCACAF. There's 2 out of the region advance, the United States and Mexico.
Houston up on San Antonio 4-0. Dallas late, leading OKC 2-1. New England and Carolina scoreless. They got started late because of weather. Indy 11 taking Chicago into the 85th minute, tied at 0.
Well, 4 goals is the largest margin in an Open Cup game for Columbus, and still a ways remaining with 15 to play. Columbus beat Carolina in 2001, 5-1. And on cue, opportunity goes by the wayside with King getting in and launching high.
Who do you like for man of the match tonight? You can think.
Man, there's a lot. Yes, let's pontificate on that one. Well, the goal scorers have all done some nice things. I like the play of Emil Larsson, though, at times tonight.
Emil has done some really good things. I think that Barson and Saravia are 2 guys in that important center channel who have really helped the bulk of the opportunities that Tampa Bay has been able to generate have predominantly come wide. And that's in part because the center channel's plugged.
Well, things are held up for the moment as training staff out to look at Darnell King. 5-year pro, he is 25. There's a little issue in front of the Columbus bench at the moment. Berhalter was having a chatter, and
both the RA and the fourth
have
come over to get between the Columbus bench area.
Guerra and Burgos. Well, at home for 5 of the first 7 in MLS play. Chance to really make hay if you're Columbus. They're going to have to. And despite just being a couple points out of a playoff spot, need to take advantage of the home games. 18th against Drogba in Montreal. All-you-can-eat tailgate tickets, match ticket, unlimited picnic food items and beverages through kickoff in the Stadium Club tent. $29. ColumbusCrewSC.com. And then the 25th, this is always a fun night. The Red Bulls are here, and they are on fire. In Fuego, after that horrible start of 1-6. 4th of July with the military men and women for Military Night, presented by Heartland Bank. Following the match, light up the sky, that great fireworks show, presented by Battelle. Tickets still available, ColumbusCrewSC.com. Well, substitution is made. Antonievich, the Chicago native, has come on. 4-year pro. Played at Valpo and Marquette. He was a captain at times last year, but did not find his way into the action in the spring season. He's come on with 13 minutes remaining. And that looping cross dealt with by Stuver.
Just to accent your point about New York Red Bulls coming on, if you really look at the teams that were playing the best soccer in the league late last season, Red Bull, Columbus, Portland, Montreal, Dallas. I mean, Montreal is the only one of that group that really has shown some consistency thus far this season, and I think that is reflective of just how small the margin is, not only from Team 1 to 20 in Major League Soccer, but as we're seeing here in the Open Cup, where some of these second division teams are showing that they're right there on the doorstep.
Montreal bounced in the Canadian Championship. That'll be a Toronto-Vancouver final. Well, it's interesting you say that. Columbus, at times, you think their record could be better than what it is, the way they played in portions of the early season. And Montreal the same way. Just 1 win in 7 coming in. Columbus 1-6. You saw those substitutions. Lower third of your screen. King came off. He was hobbled, of course. Inside of 12 minutes, Merrim struck just before the half. And then, like a house of fire, Columbus putting a couple together after the break. 2 goals in 7 minutes. Martinez, then the Finley PK, Hollingsworth in the 65th. That's the scoring.
Diego Rubio has scored in overtime for Sporting Kansas City, so they are up 2-1, but still time left.
It was quite the feisty affair with Minnesota.
Sporting Kansas City, another team, has not been able to find any consistent rhythm thus far this season. It's been quite fascinating. 1
win over 9-10 games. They started 3-0. It's been a rough slate, and you fall behind in the West, you're in trouble.
Speaking of West, FC Dallas in the 88th minute up 2-1. FC Dallas in the 89th minute tied at 2.
They've got 8 wins and kind of restored order. Avila.
They've been that team, haven't they? Dallas. They get off to these great starts, and then there's the swan song, and then they try to find rhythm again. And we talked about them a lot, didn't we, in the postseason? Many of us felt that they were playing as well or better than anybody in the league at that stage.
Well, they play their youngsters better than anyone in that league. Full slate of games on the weekends. NYC winless in 3. How about Philadelphia still in first? Of course, you know that based on their most recent performance over Columbus. Unbeaten in 8 games and a 9-point separation there. Vancouver and New England. Columbus hosting Montreal. Orlando, just 1 win in 9 games, taking on San Jose, who's been up and down, but hanging around. Galaxy, which that goalkeeping gaffe in Montreal that put an end to their 9-game unbeaten run. They get Toronto FC with 1-6 as they look for some scoring options. Work here in the midfields.
Tell you what, that does not look good.
Appears to be Martinez. Here's this young man just on the uptick of his MLS career, a goal in his debut. Scoring here tonight. And he's sitting up.
He went on a quick run right in the center circle and lost his footing due to the wet surface and just fell awkwardly. But good to see that after the referee checked, he did not require attention from staff off the field of play and was quickly able to get back up on his feet.
This team does not need another piece of personnel to fall down.
Injuries have not been a problem for Columbus Crew SC over the past couple of seasons. 2016 shaping up a touch different.
Burgos.
Struck it well, didn't he?
Angle was closing off. And now he immediately goes to ground and grabs his leg. Don't know if he's cramping there. Minute 83. It's all Columbus tonight. In position to advance out of this round for the 5th time in the last 6 years. The draw tomorrow to find out who their opponent will be and where that game will be at in a couple of weeks' time. Francis, a guy that was so integral to the lineup last year, but lost his starting spot. Berhalter's wanted to see more out of him, and we've seen those flashes here late, haven't we? The assist he had to Ola Kamara against Salt Lake. He's trying to find that groove of aggressiveness in the attacking portion of the field as he finds some minutes. Corner here.
Nobody signs a professional sports contract to sit on the bench. But if you're going to run a franchise in the way Greg Berhalter does, you're going to talk about next man up. You're going to tell guys in face-to-face meetings that if you do these things, you're going to get an opportunity. He sure as heck has to give them.
Collins away.
And tonight he's being rewarded.
Indeed he is. Ramirez. Avila. Tracks into the middle. Whirls it wide, and that's a good smash on the outside. Sanfilippo letting it loose, but right at Stuver.
Yeah, a couple of good shots put toward the Columbus goal from Tampa Bay.
Ristoff, the attempt there off of a trap turnover.
Indy 11 and Chicago headed to overtime, scoreless. It's gone final. Houston has defeated San Antonio 4-0. Getting late, Kansas City trying to ride out a 2-1 win over Minnesota in overtime. Dallas and OKC are just about ready to go to overtime.
Well, a host full of personnel helping us out here at Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium. Martinez is down on the ground in front of the Columbus bench. And now a look. Our digital team tonight, Skylar Schmidt, Craig Brown of Ohio State, and the great digital teams of both enterprises, thanking them for the production and show tonight.
Yeah, Skylar takes good care of us, doesn't he?
Most importantly, our waiter for the evening, Steve Sirk, crewsc.com.
Yeah, he's waiting.
Pizza was clutch at the half, I
He's
must
waiting
say.
right over there.
Yes, it is. Well,
It's
it looks like they're stretching out.
A little cramping, maybe.
Cramps of Martinez looked a little scary moments ago when he went down in the center circle. "86 minutes gone. Tampa Bay will resume the fall season at the start of July. Another team being added to NASL. This is Carmelo Anthony's Puerto Rico FC. Indy 11 on goal differential has clinched a spot in the playoffs. And they'll have the winner of the fall season and the next best two on points for the seasons combined. A third and we're going to have a reinstitution of Burgos onto the fields. And off sportsmanship, this will go back to Stuver. Columbus putting the hammer down early in the second half in this one, adding a couple 7 minutes in to a 1-0 lead at the break.
It certainly seems to be moving towards a final score line that was certainly not indicative of what we saw before the Storms arrived. And as I've said a couple of times now, it's a style of play that Tampa Bay came in with, that they were playing very well, but once they gave up the goal, now they've got to adjust a little bit, and Columbus was able to take advantage on this night.
And as we turn our attention with Montreal coming into town on Saturday, right now you can catch the action, Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, CW Columbus, around town, CD 102.5. 7 o'clock match day show. These teams know each other so well, just over a calendar year, and they've played 7 times, including the playoffs. So they know each other's personalities, how they'll play, but the bigger storyline will be perhaps some of the faces we won't see in that matchup.
It'll be interesting with the potential big names out of that game. Of course, Piatti, Drogba has been rumored in the media.
Simon.
Yes, Simon's gone. The injuries that Columbus Crew SC is working with right now, so.
Off the giveaway, Stuver with his best save of the night. And the flag came up for offside. Some endless pressure. And Burgos and Ristoff helping to work into an opportunity, as Tampa Bay would like a little posterity here going away, and almost had it.
And I think it speaks to the leadership of this Tampa Bay Rowdies team, that even with the current score line and the late time on the clock plus the lengthy weather delay, they're still out there pushing. They've had a couple of good shots from distance, an opportunity there. It's not as if they've just sort of stepped back and let the clock expire. They've continued to play.
Good ownership, good support down there. Fun little setting. Well supported, and success in their brief resumption of their history. And
great support from media, PR staff, helping us get all the information we need here tonight.
Nico Castillo and company, thanking them for their help.
Still the best looking hoops uniform. Tampa Bay Rowdies. I don't think that'll ever change.
No doubt. It is tough to read the numbers, though, in white over that green and gold, but it's a small.
Yeah, nobody cares about the except you and I.
Yeah, small plate. Here's Guerra.
I did love seeing the John Bloom Rowdies jersey.
His wife Bethany was sporting his 1976 attire, and it was sharp. John played 13 games in that 76 season, and then a bag of balls, an onion bag, and Tommy Smith took over the position, and that was it. Ramirez. As we have second half stoppage time. 3 minutes. Sweat. And there's Barson. Steady tonight. Native son of the Olentangy.
River?
Yeah. Can't call him that last samurai. Cut the hair.
Yeah, that was a good one, too. That fit him well. I think he liked it.
Didn't like that. Fouled Burgos here. And some last action for Tampa Bay. And a positive ending to their spring season. They'll probably have a few days off, regroup, and get ready for the fall campaign. ASL got into action in 2011 as there was debate over the formation of a officially sanctioned Division II league in 2010, as you may recall. USSF D2. Finley working hard. Tumbled down by Ristov, who's a big metal fan. And a free kick for Columbus, as they've marched toward downtown in this second half and put up 3 goals in it.
Revs and Railhawks have gone to the half. They are scoreless. Dallas, OKC, as well as Chicago and Indy now moving into overtime.
Collins. Jimenez. Whisking that to the side, Ramirez. Nothing in that movement. Ash. Chavez helped win it back. Here's the Honduran. Missed the mark for Burgos.
Sporting Kansas City has held on. Defeated Minnesota 2-1. That took overtime to settle.
Well, unlike the last time, and much to the gratitude of Greg Berhalter, this will not see extra time against an NASL club. Saravia, one last build up here, final moments. And it slid in behind. It should have been a second for Marshall Hollingsworth. With it, the last action on the road to Lamar Hunt's trophy. Off to a good start for the black and gold as they win this round of 32 performance, the 4th round of the 2016 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, 4-0 over the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And we'll play in 2 weeks' time. Opponent and site to be determined. Perhaps another good chance to host here in Columbus. Pod system, most likely a regional opponent, depending on who shall advance. 41st minute Mara. Then after the halftime break, we were delayed by about 2 hours tonight after 26 minutes because of a weather delay. Christian Martinez, assisted by Finley and Francis in the 48th. Finley a PK drawn by Saravia in the 52nd. Marshall Hollingsworth from Jimenez to round out the scoring in the 65th. Final numbers, 10 shots for Columbus, 4 on target. Rowdies had 11 and 4 on the marks. Stuver with the clean sheet. That shutout on 4 saves. 3 corners for Columbus, 2 for Tampa Bay. Black and golds with 59% of the possession in this one. Just one caution issue to Darnell King in the 51st minute. Offside calls, Tampa Bay 4, Columbus 2. Mention the 4 saves by Stuver. Tackles, 10 by Columbus, 6 by Tampa Bay. Outdueling them 42-23. 616 passes to 425. Of course, all of that is online for the future reference, but more importantly, it's 4 goals to the good and a victory to move on to the next round, the round of 16. And most importantly, it looks as if right now everyone healthy. That 16-man roster that Greg Berhalter has had to deal with the last 2 games. Advancing on, Dwight Burgess, as your final take on this win.
I think it's a good night, assuming we don't find out after the game that anybody picked up a particular injury. That's the most important part. You know, certainly over 90 minutes, Columbus Crew SC was the better side. I think the 4-0 scoreline is probably a little bit misleading for someone who did not watch the game. But at the end of the day, it's a single elimination tournament, and you want to get more lights on the scoreboard than the other team. Tonight, Columbus did that. Now they get back to league business this weekend.
That is 7:30 against the Montreal Impact, third and final meeting of the regular season between those two. Montreal had a 2-0 win in April, and that wild 4-4 game, as everyone recalls, from the first weekend in May. And that'll be at Mafre Stadium. 5 of the next 7 to resume league play, and it's good to have MLS back in action in general, isn't it?
Absolutely. It has seemed odd. I've been able to fill some hours and some days with Copa and with the Euros, but looking forward to getting back to our own league and seeing this Columbus Crew SC team begin to find their rhythm the way they did the second half of last year, and that vaulted them all the way into MLS Cup.
All righty, partner. Well, looking forward to get back into league play. We wish our colleague all the best on his nuptials, Chris Doran, on Saturday. Match day starts at 7 o'clock. Time Warner Cable Sports Channel kickoff at 7:30. Dwight and I have it all for you as the stretch run soon to begin in MLS play. Columbus Crew Soccer Club 4, Tampa Bay Rowdies of the North American Soccer League 0. The final here in this round of 32 game. The 2016 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Check ColumbusCrewSC.com for further updates on the future opponent and venue of the next round, the 5th round. 16 teams will remain on the road to the 103rd edition or trophy in this competition. For Dwight Burgess, I'm Neil Sika, and to all of you, thanks so much for watching here on ColumbusCrewSC.com from Jesse Owens Memorial Stadium on the Ohio State University campus. Good night.
cable. Actually, let's leave the cable to last because I'm going to unplug it.
Okay.